Hey, what's up, guys? Good to have you all on a Wednesday night. We are going to be talking about Enneagram Type 4s tonight. And welcome to my channel. Welcome to this YouTube Live. I know I don't need the headphones on, but I get so used to wearing them that I don't know. I just feel like I'm talking to a wall if I don't have them on. So feel free to use the chat feature. I'm happy to hear your comments or interact with you. If you are a Type 4 or you're not a Type 4, doesn't matter to me. This channel's for everybody, and maybe you just love somebody that's a Type 4 and you're like, help, help. I wanna love this person and I'm trying to get along with them and we're having problems. Or if you are a Type 4, you're an expert on Enneagram Type 4. I'm not an expert on Enneagram Type 4. I'm barely an expert on Type 7. But I want to talk about fours tonight and how we can better understand you guys and relate to you better, and have a better relationship with you. We're all trying to love you, and sometimes your personality can not make sense to the rest of us, and that's true of all the types. I'm sure fours look at ones or look at nines or something and think, how can you act like that, or how can you think like that? And one of the things the Enneagram shows us is that we all have different perspectives. And just knowing that, if we didn't know anything else, if we just knew that there's nine different ways of seeing the world, and every one of us is one of those nine, even if we didn't know anything about those nine, even if we didn't have names for them, we didn't have any characteristics about them, just knowing that there are nine different legitimate ways to see the world helps us have more compassion with each other. So let's dive in and see if we can learn more about Type 4s. And tonight, what I've been doing on all these live streams each week is kind of like in kind of tongue in cheek and for the fun of it, saying, here's why you're the problem. So I'm not picking on fours tonight. I'm picking on every type. When I did my nine video, I did, here, type nines, here's why you're the problem. Or here, eights, here's why you're the problem. So tonight we're going to get a little scratchy and talk about fours. This is why people might have a hard time getting along with you. And feel free to chime into the comments and put your own perspective. If you are a four, tell us your perspective. If you agree with these, if you are in a relationship with a four, chime in and let us know if this is rings true to you, or if you got something you can add to this. We'd appreciate it. I'll start by saying I do have a lot of appointments with fours. They are probably one of my most interested types. Okay, I would say that probably my biggest audience on YouTube and the people I have the most appointments with would be type nines. And then right after that, I would say is without a doubt Type 4s. So if I'm doing a series, whatever the series is, if I'm doing on relationships, or lines of integration, or health and balance, or anything, whatever series I'm doing, I can be pretty sure that 9 and 4 videos are going to be the most popular. Probably the ones that are the least popular, surprisingly, would be Type 3s. You would think threes always want to work on themselves and improve themselves, but when it comes right down to it, a lot of times threes want to grow in a certain way that moves along with their impulses and compulsions, and they don't necessarily want to be challenged away from those impulses. So I got my decaf coffee in my strawberry shortcake cup here. This was my wife's when she was a little girl, and somehow it when her parents passed away, we ended up with some of the dishes. And so this is actually my favorite little cup for when I just want a small, decaf or something like that. So I got that. I got my water, and we are ready to rock and roll. So just as a reminder, you can go to my website, tomlahue.com, and I do offer all kinds of free stuff there. Join my Enneagram community, and there's a little mini course on Know Your Why. That's a free downloadable. Also, there's like an assessment, a downloadable assessment for the Enneagram. um, let's see. And I have lots of courses available, on demand courses like the 10-day challenge or Great Life. Lots of different courses available. And of course, I do coaching. So yeah, don't drop the cup. I know it. I can't drop this cup. And after our hurricane last year, we redid a lot of stuff in our house and we took up all the carpet and put down tile. So tile is not forgiving. It's much better for having dogs than carpet is, but man, just glasses don't do well in our house anymore. Now, you guys know that I have 5 kids. My wife is a 2-wing 1. I'm a 7-wing 6. I'm an ENFP social 7. My wife is an ISFJ sexual 2-wing 1. And we have 5 kids. We have an 8-wing 7. We have a my daughter Madison, who has Down syndrome. She is a 4-wing 5, and probably the social 4. My other daughter Kaylee is a 9-wing 1. My first child is also a daughter, Grace, 8-wing 7, and then Madison's a 4-wing 5, and she's in her 20s now, like 23, and she lives at home with us. And so I around a 4 all the time. And my other daughter Kaylee is a 9-wing 1, sexual 9-wing 1. My son Harrison is probably the sexual 5-wing 4. And then my last daughter Olivia is a 6-wing 7, self-preservation, or yeah, self-preservation, the friendly 6-wing 7. So let's see. Let me just look at these. You better not drop the cup. Help, help. I'm a 4-wing 5. Are really hard. Okay, 4-wing 5s are really hard for me to embrace. I think 4 doesn't want to fix any problems. And I, an 8-wing 7, go to let's fix it in a split second. Yeah, okay. And black hole energy. Okay. And I think by black hole, you mean like perpetual problems that don't really get a solution and just kind of constantly in a state of need. And I'm sure 4s would hate to hear that about themselves. But again, this video is all about why people find it hard to get along with you. So again, we're saying that in kind of a friendly way, but we're getting beneath the surface, and we're gonna look behind the curtain and try to be real about stuff. And yeah, that black hole. And remember, 4s under stress look like 2s. And so feeling kind of needy maybe in those lesser moments. Hello, I'm a 4-wing 3, an angel. Great to have you. Christian rock and metal nostalgia. White Cross, Striper. Yes. Okay, I'm 4-wing 5. Actually tied between a 4 and a 2-wing 1 on the Enneagram Institute test. No 3 in me. Ooh, well, there's an opportunity to grow, because think of it like this: you need both wings. And 3 has a lot of wonderful advice for the 2, and a lot of wonderful advice for the 4, and a lot of wonderful advice for a 9 and a 6. So we want to think about our wings a little differently than most writers write about them. Think of them as giving you an indication of what growth and stretching could look like. I was so happy when I read in Beatrice Chestnut's book how she talks about stretching into your wings. And of course, your less dominant wing is going to be the one that's going to be the hardest for you, and probably the most helpful. So at some point, in your life, please go to my website, check it out, and use the coupon code Be Present 35, all capital letters, for 35% off any of my on-demand courses. I'm always adding to those. Right now, I'm doing courses on Clifton Strength Finders, and I'd never really been a Strength Finders guy, but I got to grow and I got to expand. Also, I'm doing a video series on those on YouTube. Also, I'm doing some stuff out of this book, Deep Living. It's a new book to me by Roxanne Howe Murphy, EDD. Very happy with this book. Very, very good. And I was just reading about 4s a minute ago. If we have some time, maybe we'll look at that. But pretty soon, I'll be doing a 4 video based on your life story. I'm doing a series on YouTube, Your Life Story. I just did type 2s. And I might do 7s next. I'm starting with, people in my house, but I don't know. Usually I do an order like 9 to 1 or 1 to 9, but this time I'm kind of just going with what I'm interested in. We'll see. So let's talk about 4s. Why you're the problem. Quit slamming doors and running away. Oh my goodness. I just can't handle it anymore. I'm leaving. Nobody understands me. Nobody appreciates me. I'm getting out of here. Okay, so we're talking about 4s tonight. Slamming door 4s, sighing and moaning and groaning, feeling kind of sad inside. All right. So, all joking aside, let's look at these. 4s, number 1, why would people find it hard? Now, I'm also going to make a cartoon out of these. So don't panic if you don't get them all written down or whatever you want. Probably in a day or two, you're going to see a cartoon pop up on my website. Why it's hard to get along with fours, why you're the problem. And I'm going to list all 10 of these in that cartoon. Okay, so like I said, feel free to use the chat. I'd love to interact with you and answer questions. Or I don't have to answer questions. I mean, just tell me what you think, and I'll just think about it. Okay. So number one. Oh, why would it be hard to get along with a four? Because of your intense emotions, intensity of your emotions. Um, and sometimes that emotions can look like melancholy drabness. It can look like the lack of emotion sometimes. You might walk by and you see that person sitting there very forlorn, very melancholy, very disconnected and detached, like a four-wing five, a social four-wing five. Probably some two sees that girl or that boy, says, "Oh wow, I'm going to get through to them. I'm going to, connect with them." And it's like trying to connect with, somebody who wants to be disconnected, somebody who's withdrawn. Sleepy Nova says you can say, "Hi, Ollie. My friend is asleep because she's British and we love your channel." Yeah, because in Britain, what, you're 5 hours ahead of us? So it's like, what, 12 o'clock there or something? Welcome to the channel. People run away. Yeah, hello. I'm a 7 wing 6. Yay, Rachel or Rochelle. Yeah, great. 7 wing 6. That's me. All right. So intensity of emotions. It could be, one of the words for fours, by the way, is the dramatist. Okay, or the dramatic one. And that's what we're talking about here. Sometimes you can be overly dramatic. Now, it probably doesn't feel like you're being overly dramatic on the inside, but people on the outside, this is going to appear to them as though you're being dramatic. By the way, dramatist, individualist, romantic, all these are not my favorite term for fours. My favorite term for fours is the healer. What a fantastic term, because it actually like really challenges you as a four. When you're doing well, you are a healer. You help people go into the dark caverns of themselves to deal with the things that are broken and not right inside them, their flaws, and you're able to just go in there and deal honestly with people and help them find the beauty in their brokenness. And because you know what it's like to feel flawed and misunderstood, you're able to then identify with that person and help them find healing. Now, when you're not doing well, guess what? You as a four are the perpetually sick one, the one nobody understands, the one that is left out, the victim in every story. And your speaking style is lamenting. Woe is me. Look what they've done to me. Just look what they've done to me. I used to be loved. I used to be, so happy. I used to have purpose and meaning. I used to love my work. I used to love Christmas, and they've ruined it for me. When you go around the dial, you could speak about like the doing. I like to call it the doing statement of every type. Um, the eight, something needs to be done about this. Don't tell me what to do. You got the nine there saying, just tell me what you want me to do. Just tell me what you want me to do. The one says, something should have been done about this a long time ago. The speaking style of the nine is preaching. Okay. And then the two, what do you want me to do for you? Or, after all I've done for you, this is the thanks I get. This is the appreciation I get. The three, hey, look at what I'm doing. Watch me. Look at what I did. And then there's the four, look what they've done to me. Look what they've done. Think of Loki on Marvel, for example. Um, One of my favorite four characters. I would never recommend this movie because I'm a Christian and stuff, and I'm not supposed to watch these kind of movies. But one of my favorite movies to recommend for type fours, if you just want to laugh, if you just want to relax and laugh, okay, don't take it too seriously, is the movie The Birdcage. It's a movie with Robin Williams, who is a seven, right? Robin Williams is probably a 7 wing 6 like me, probably not the social. I don't know. But he plays kind of a nine or a one in that movie. And then I think his name is Nathan Lane, the guy that did the voice for Timon in The Lion King. He plays a four. I don't know if Nathan Lane, I think it's his name. I don't know if that he really is a four or not, but that character, the great Starina, that is just beautiful four stuff. So if you want to laugh, like if you want to see like an over exaggerated, probably self preservation for, that is just a great example, in my opinion, of something funny. Hello from Brazil. I'm a sexual three wing too. Yes, the movie star, I think is what that one's called. The one more focused on masculine and feminine roles, but there are many fours in my life. My first contact with the Enneagram was 23 years ago. Wow, that's awesome. Fantastic. Love your videos. Thank you. Thank you from Brazil. I would say gracias, but that's not Portuguese. All right, because of the fours energy, we have Chopin's. Yeah, okay. Virginia, somebody. I'm a seven. I'm trying. Wolf, Virginia Woolf. But in blood relationships, it seems like never can fill their emotional needs. It's like filling a bottomless well. Yes. Um, okay. So the highly sensitive person. Interesting. Yeah. All right. So let's look at intensity of emotion. Type fours often experience their emotions deeply. Why would you want to do that? Like a nine might think nothing good's going to come from that. A seven could think that, sevens could really be helped by fours. I think nines could really be helped by fours, sevens. We could be really helped by fours to slow down and process our feelings. Look, the healer. See? The healer. I might be going through a hard time, feeling sad, knowing something's wrong, but not able to really get in touch with it, not wanting to get in touch with it. I noticed a while back, like I was really angry about stuff that was going on at work. And I didn't realize it. I took a walk and I was like, "Am I angry? Is what I'm feeling what other people call anger? How can I be angry? I'm not an angry person. I don't get angry. Angry's not good. Angry's not right. Angry's not what I want to feel. I think I'm angry. Am I angry?" And I probably could have really benefited by some four saying, "Tom, slow down. Let's pay attention to our feelings. Our feelings are important. They're not. They shouldn't be anything that you run away from. They shouldn't be anything that you're afraid of. You're not going to fall into a bottomless pit if you think about pain or anger or sadness, even though it feels like it as a seven. I could probably be helped by a four. I always think of nine wing ones as being kind of wired to be therapists, and I could see where fours also could probably be very good therapy helpers, healers. Yeah, I think of nines as like giving you space. Like nines, I don't know that nines are going to want to solve your problems for you, but they tend to want to give you space to let you work through your problems. And as long as you don't make your problems theirs, they'll tend to stay with you and stay engaged with you. And they're really good at giving you space without an agenda to help you work through your problem. I think fours would probably have a little more of an agenda. Like, let's get in there, let's dig around, let's see what this means. Let's analyze this and talk about it. And you know, okay. So I see what a minute ago somebody in the comments said. I'm an eight wing seven. I can't handle the fours not wanting to solve their own problems. Let me talk about that for a minute. Search your feelings. You know it to be true. Give in to the anger. Was that little Palpatine, the creepy little? He's a four. Palpatine's a four. A lot of the villains, I hate to tell you, in movies are threes and fours. You would think it'd be eights, but it's not. A lot of the villains in movies. You know what? Let me just pull up. I've got a little screen here. I'm not going to share my screen because I don't know how to do that on YouTube because I'm not smart. But I've got a little screen here that reminds me of some villains. Okay, whoever Red Face is on Marvel, you guys who are into Marvel, you know who Red Face is? A four. Also, so is the blue girl from what's her name? The blue girl from Guardians of the Galaxy, Nebulous or Nebula or something. She's like the sexual four, like the angry four. I think Rambo's a four. Voldemort is a four. Him who we don't speak of. Him who we don't speak of is a four. I think Anakin Skywalker is a four. Oddly enough, though, I would say probably Darth Vader is like a five. It's kind of like the Terminator. Terminator's a five, but Arnold Schwarzenegger's a three, I think. And I think Anakin, the character, is a four. but like his transition to Darth Vader, like he goes from a four-wing five to like a five-wing four. Loki is a four, another villain in a movie. What's the lady with the horns on her head from Disney? Angelina Jolie, I think, is probably a four just herself. But then I want to say Mephibosheth, but that's a Bible name. What's that lady's name? Do we know what the horns on her head from Sleeping Beauty? Yeah, she's a four. Um, Maleficent. That's it. Maleficent. So a lot of villains. Snape is a four. Um, let's see. So there's a handful of kind of like, bad guys. I don't know, Snape, I guess at the end of the book, he turns out to be like a romantic, he's not really a villain, I guess. I don't know. But also 11 on Stranger Things, I think is a four. So a lot of fours. A lot of fours end up being villains. A lot of threes are villains in Marvel movies. Fours wish to solve their own problems. As this is from Transcendental Thorns here. Fours wish to solve their own problems. Eights feel as they must go after what they want or must accept what they can't get and move on. Fours believe they can get what they want so we long. Okay, I'm not sure I understood that. Eights can't get along. Okay, let me just say it this way. This is how I would say it. Sometimes fours, okay, sometimes fours, it feels like to the rest of us, and I can't really speak for all the rest of us, but for myself and a lot of people I've talked to, worked with, okay, in coaching and things, sometimes it feels like fours sometimes sabotage themselves and make their problems worse. They kind of like amplify their problems. Remember, your speaking style is lamenting, right? So it's pretty common for fours to kind of focus in and talk about how there's problems in their life. And it's kind of like you are seen as somebody who, I gotta let my dog out while I'm talking. You're seen as somebody who suffers and endures suffering and perseveres. And life isn't treating you fair, which I'm sure it's not. I mean, life doesn't really treat any of us fair. And I'm not trying to take away for the fact that maybe you have had a really hard life, because you probably have. I mean, let's face it, there's a lot of yucky people out there in the world, and they will do terrible things to you. And sometimes fours like over identify with those terrible things or how they're being treated by others or not being included by others. And the rest of us would think maybe you're sabotaging yourself sometimes. Like maybe the way you're interacting with other people is sometimes bringing some of this on. And then you kind of retreat from that and then lament about how you're being treated or how you're being misunderstood. And the rest of us are like, yeah, okay, well, would you like a solution to that problem? Which is often going to make a four feel minimized and diminished. Like, oh, my problems are so easily solved that you're just going to step one, two, look at that type three right next to you. Give me a 1, 2, 3 plan. 1, 2, 3. Here's what you did wrong. Here's what you need to change. 1, 2, 3. Step one, step two, step three. And sometimes when a four is in the middle of kind of that state of all these terrible things have been done to me, and you have no idea how hard it is for me, you have no idea how much I'm suffering. And then we try to offer well, what did you do to cause this? 1, 2, 3. Here's a plan for you. That could feel like we are minimizing and diminishing your suffering. I find it much more helpful if you live with a four or relate to a four, instead of trying to give them solutions to their problems, to first at least start with trying to empathize with them. And you may not have any patience left for this, and this may be the opposite of what you want to do, because you just think, oh my gosh, I can't take it anymore. Their intense emotions, their dramatic flare-ups, their emotional instability, their volatility, I just can't take it anymore. But I would encourage you, instead of trying to like just jump in and solve their problems, let me tell you what you did wrong. Imagine a four with a one, for example. The speaking style of one is preaching. That's not going to go over good for a four. It's probably not going to go over good for a four. I would say, why not rather try to start with seeing them in their misery. Start with seeing them in their suffering and say things more like this. Oh my goodness, I can't imagine how difficult this has to be for you. Rather than I understand. Oh, I understand. I connect with you and understand fully what you're going through. Say the opposite. Say, oh man, I can't understand. I really don't have any idea what this must be like for you. Oh my goodness, that sounds terrible. Oh wow, that's awful. How are you dealing with this? How are you coping with this? It must feel terrible to be estranged from your mother. It must be awful to have been let down by your friends at work. How did that make you feel? And I don't want you to think of it as patronizing. Don't try to patronize people. Be genuine. Just realize like you may not want to give your time and attention to this. You might think, "Oh my goodness, here they come again with their big problems and all their," but they don't ever change. They don't ever stop. They don't ever do anything different. So they need to change their behavior and okay, you're getting ahead of the game here. Like you're trying to give them solutions and realize fours are in the worth and value group, okay? They are struggling for, am I a person that matters? Am I a person of value? And I think when they're going through hard times or struggles, one of the words that they would probably hate for me to say out loud, and maybe they've never thought about this, but the rest of you guys that aren't fours, I think this will be helpful for you. Think of it as, twos need appreciation. Thank you so much for what you did for us. You're very thoughtful. Thank you so much. Okay, appreciation. Threes often need admiration. Wow, you really nailed it. You did a fantastic job. I knew you could do it and you killed it, knocked it out of the park. Great work. Man, awesome work. Admiration. Fours, it's just nuanced a little bit. Think validation. Validation is where you say things like, "Oh my gosh, I can't imagine somebody said that to you. That's awful. Oh wow, how did that make you feel? You must have felt terrible. What are you going to do?" And see, that's not giving people solutions. That's a four. Think of it like this. A four got dealt a hand of cards that you can't win with. All right. So we all get dealt this hand of cards and we're going to play a game of cards. And they got a hand that you can't win. You can't win with this hand. And then from time to time, this is how I think they feel. They're gonna say, "Hey, this isn't fair. This isn't right. Look at this. How am I supposed to win?" Well, you know what you did wrong here. You should have. See, it's going to feel minimizing and diminished. Rather say, "Oh wow, that's got to feel awful. What are you going to do? How are you coping with this?" And sometimes you'll even see like the forced smile when you validate their pain and suffering. It's like, "Hey, I'm suffering over here." I like to think of it like this. Like, imagine we all got kicked out of Eden, Garden of Eden, right? Bible 101. We got kicked out of the Garden of Eden, and all of us have tried to move on from that. But the fours have kind of like just realized, like, we got kicked out of Eden. Do you guys not realize this? Like, you all are going on in life like everything's okay. It's not okay. Like, whatever position we had, we've fallen from that position. Can you guys not see that we've fallen from a position? Am I the only one that feels a sense of sadness and like a lack of hope? Like something's missing, like we're not where we're supposed to be, like we're not who we're supposed to be. Like, where's our meaning and our value coming from now? We're disconnected from God and from each other. And you guys just like go out and start fixing things, or go out like sevens, go out and try to find the sunlight, in the wilderness. But like, I'm longing for Eden. Like, I've lost Eden. Haven't you guys realized this? Like, we're living in this shame of not being in the Garden of Eden any longer. Now, maybe as a four, you've never thought about saying it that way, and maybe that doesn't really resonate with you, but it makes sense to me. All right. So must go to church now. Okay. I mean, eights can stay in the feeling. Eights, I think, just want to solve the problem. Brianna, how you doing? Yeah. Good to see you, Brianna. Okay. So lots of comments here. Our move with high empathy is to sit with and share the burden of others. Yes. Yes. They don't feel alone. Yeah. Yeah. I know some fours that, man, when they start talking about other people suffering, they start suffering, like very empathetic. Like they'll start talking about Kurt Cobain. Oh my gosh. And they'll start crying. Kurt Cobain, I think, is a four also. Somebody told me that they're like, Kurt Cobain isn't the four we want to hold up. It's the other guy, the guy from Corn, whatever his name is. I don't remember. But anyway, like that's a better example of like a healthier four. So intensity of emotion. That's number one. We're 30 minutes in. We're halfway done with our time, and we're on number one out of 10. I didn't even read the comment. Type fours often experience their emotions deeply, which can be overwhelming or perplexing to others who aren't used to such depth of feeling. Yes, real a lot of us bounce on the surface, guys. Sevens, nines, we tend to like the surface, and probably a few other types. And realize fours, especially four wing fives, you guys are at the bottom of the Enneagram. You're down in the basement, the deep end of the pool. You don't want to talk about meaningless stuff. If we're going out for coffee, it's not about coffee. And what you got to realize is some of us shallow creatures, probably some threes, some sevens, some of us, we're just out for coffee. Why do we have to talk about heavy stuff? Um, why do we have to, I thought, why can't we just talk about the game or talk about the movie or something I saw that was funny? Like, but fours tend to like want to talk about deep, meaningful stuff, which is good. That helps us all grow. We all should, be better at that. But realize some people are not going to be comfortable around all these intense emotions. Some nine wing eights, maybe. All right. So it is number two, a desire for authenticity. Authenticity. A lot of fours or INFPs on Myers Briggs. INFP, NF is what? Individuality. Everybody's unique. And then FP is authenticity. And we should be valued for our individuality. We should be true to our individuality. We must be authentic to ourselves, which is good. I mean, it's good. It means you leave your thumbprint on everything. You have an identity and you know that identity, and other people need to know that identity. Just realize like sometimes people don't have time for that. Like they just do your job. Just do your job. I don't need to know who you are. Um yeah, okay. I don't need to, see you in yourself. I just need you to file these papers and clock out at 5. And don't bring all your authentic emotional stuff here to work because we don't want it. We don't want to hear about it. We don't care about it. We don't want to see you crying. We don't want to hear about your past. We don't want to hear about your sordid breakup or your relationships. Now, I'm not saying I'm like that. I'm just saying you're definitely going to get that message because some people they want you to be a cog in a wheel. They want you to be a factory worker, with a orange jumpsuit, a white helmet and big goggles on, just show up, clock in, do your thing and then clock out and go home and leave all the drama at home. They don't want that stuff in their workplace. And your desire for authenticity is going to probably at times disrupt and bother people. Realize, by the way, like the most annoying Myers Briggs type is mine, ENFP. E's annoy and irritate I's. Extroverts annoy introverts. Introverts don't really annoy extroverts. Introverts are an audience for extroverts, right? Um, and the intuitives who think outside the box bother the sensing types who can't you see things the way they are. You're pie in the sky, but you need to look at the way things actually are. N's annoy sensors, and then F's annoy T's because F's get their feelings hurt. You should be more careful, diplomatic. I'm sensitive. You hurt my feelings. And thinking types, straightforward and direct, they get annoyed and bothered by. And then F's annoy or P's annoy J's. Perceivers annoy judgers because judgers, what's the plan? Let's follow the plan. Perceivers, I don't really know. Go with the flow. I don't have enough information yet. I need to figure things out as we go. That annoys people who want a plan. So, congratulations, Tom. You're the most annoying type on Myers Briggs, and on the Enneagram. I don't think sevens are the most annoying, but I sometimes annoy myself, as maybe I'm doing right now a little bit. But this need for authenticity is going to just bother those ISTJs who just want to get it done. The INTJs, the ISTJs, the INTPs that just want to get the work done and get it done right are going to be bothered by somebody who has to do it with their own flair. I got to do it my own style. I got to do it when I feel like doing it. I can't work right now. I'm not inspired. I have to get inspired before I can work, before I can fully show up. You want me to be some kind of robot in a factory that just shows up, some mundane life? Can't do that. Now, I'm right there with you guys. I'm an ENFP that's really close to an INFP. I get it. I get the authenticity and the individuality. It's hard for me to work when I don't feel inspired. It's hard for me to make videos when I don't get excited about something. I'm a 7. I got to get excited about it, and then I get other people excited about it. So I get this, but let me read the statement. 4's pursuit of genuineness might be interpreted by some as a rejection of conventional things, or conventional rules or conventional standards. And all 4s, like 8s, they tend to have an above the law kind of mentality, like rules don't apply to me. Remember the 4-wing 3 is called the aristocrat. What does that mean? The rules don't apply to me. I'm above the mundane, the vulgarians out there. I'm not one of those vulgarians that eats white bread. Are you kidding me? Polyester clothes and white bread? Bologna sandwiches? What do you think I am, a vulgarian? And so 4s tend to kind of operate a little bit like the rules don't apply to me, like 8s. And sexual 4s really are like that, the angry 4s. The pursuit of genuineness might be interpreted as a rejection of convention. Think about all the 6s. They're going to be bothered by this. Follow tradition. 6s and tradition, 6s and guidelines, 6s and structure, 6s and rules. And then you have this 4 over there that's just doing their own thing, not dressing the dress code. It's going to be seen as contrarian, or almost a little bit like an 8. Like, what's that? ODD, oppositional defiance disorder. I remember the first time I heard that, I was a youth minister in a church, and somebody dropped their kid off. And this is, I'd barely heard of ADD. Back then it was ADD, now it's ADHD. But some lady dropped their middle school boy off who was a tyrant, right? He was probably a 7 or an 8. And she said, "Oh, by the way, he has ODD." And I was like, "What's that?" Oppositional defiance disorder. And I was like, "Okay, I have to think about what do those terms mean." And then he said, okay, the mom said, "By the way, he has ODD." And I said, "What is that?" And she said, "Oppositional defiance disorder." And he looked up at me and my wife and he said, "I can't obey." He was just like, I can't obey. I was like, okay, all right. I'm not saying he was a 4 because I don't think he was a 4, but some 4s can be a little more like that, just outside the lines. Oh, what am I supposed to color? Okay, well, I'm going to color the opposite of that. And that's going to be look like objectionable or defiant. No, it's going to be perceived that way. Be, you might not, okay, I'm going to say this just in the way it makes sense in my head. You might not are being defiant. You might not in your head be being defiant. You're just doing it your own way, but you are going to be perceived by other people as being contrarian and objectionable, or yeah, defiant. And you're not maybe trying to be defiant. You're just, I'm going to do it my own way. Well, we're not asking you to do it your own way. This is the way you're supposed to do it. Okay. I can't obey. Yeah. He had to be an 8. I think he was an 8-wing 7. Yeah. He says, "I can't obey." All I could think is my grandma used to have a cure for that, if you know what I mean. It was a paddle, right? Now, I didn't, of course, I'm not going to paddle him, and his mom certainly wasn't going to paddle him. So hopefully he got it worked out of his system somewhere along the way. Hopefully he'll learn the lessons that you have to learn in life. All right, so number 1, why are people having a hard time getting along with you? You 4s out there? Well, number 1, intensity of emotion. It's like you come in sad, and it's like if you feel it, right, then you have to show it. Now, not so much with self-preservation 4s. Self-preservation 4s, I think they got the message. People don't want to see this. You remember you're the counter four. So people don't want to see this. It's too much for people. I gotta rein it in because it's too much for them. But those social fours, for example, the fours that look like fours, social fours, if they're feeling sad, then they are going to look sad. They wear it out there on their sleeve. And that intense emotion, people are going to be like, oh my gosh, Debbie Downer, I got to get away from that. And it'll feel like a black hole, like, oh, I just can't be around this. I can't be around this down, melancholy, sad, depressed. Oh my gosh, we're talking about the past. Here we go again. Done me wrongs. Oh my goodness. Here we go again. And there's gonna be a lot of people that just move away from that. Which is, remember, like if you think about what you really want in life, like I'm sure you want connections, I'm sure you want closeness, you want to be loved, you want to love other people. Just ask yourself, like, being true to myself is important. Yes, okay, it is. It's important to be true to yourself. But then ask yourself, do these impulses and compulsions of my type at times move me away from what I really want in life? In other words, does it make life harder for me? If you write down your goal, I want to have close connections with people. Okay, is the strategy of expressing my intense emotions with people, I know it feels like you have to do this because it's being true to yourself, but is that strategy going to help facilitate your closeness and connecting to people? Sometimes yes, but sometimes no. And that might mean that there are times when you have to push against your impulse to be yourself and look at what's right next to you. And this is going to be a dagger in your heart, especially if you're a four-wing five. But what's right next to you is type three. Who understands this better than type threes? That you don't have to always be true to yourself. Sometimes you just need to show up in a certain energy in order to accomplish the goal. And look, threes right next to you are right next to you for a reason, because there needs to be balance here between listening to your inner person, your true self, you might say, that inner core person, and also remembering that you're living in an external world and I can't always deal with your inner person. So put on a smiley face and just go do your job. Right now, you're on the clock and you need to go wait those tables. And I know that might feel like that's not your true self, but we got a business to run here. And if you want to, and you might say, well, this is just so discouraging, so shallow. Okay. Okay. Maybe it is. All right. Maybe it is. But let me tell you this, right? When it comes to the end of the year, and they're handing out little plaques and awards and trophies for employee of the year and you don't get that, you're going to be discouraged and let down, and you're going to, why didn't they pick me? Because because some of these other employees, they understand I got to keep that crap to myself. Nobody wants me to demonstrate all of this when I'm supposed to be at work. When I'm supposed, this is not a therapy. This is not healing class. This is waiting tables. This is showing up and delivering my truck load full of supplies, and I've got to put on the face. I got to put on the face, and I've got to fake it till I make it. And that whole concept of like faking it. How does that feel to you? It feels awful. It feels like that's gross, like it's slimy. It's not being true to myself. But it's not being true to yourself to get passed up for promotions because you refuse to play the game that you have to play in order to move ahead in life. And look who see. I just want you to see who sees that better than type threes right next to you. Right next to you. Can you see that every three needs to lean into that four and ask themselves, like, who am I? Will I sell out everything I am in order to get to a goal? Is there anything of substance inside of me? Am I just a shallow mask of a person? They got to have a four wing, right? Well, every four has to have a three wing that says, come up to the surface and just do your job and do what needs to be done to get to your goal. Stop wallowing in it and just get up and get, okay, you get it. Okay. All right. Okay, so you're a 7 ENFP. Now what's your zodiac sign? That's kind of crazy. I don't really know because I guess I don't I have never really looked into the zodiac because I grew up, in a very structured church environment where that was satanic. I know people say the Enneagram is satanic, so I have my doubts now about zodiac being the devil's brew, right? But um, I know when I looked at it before, I'm on the line. My birthday is November 22nd. And so sometimes it'll say Scorpio, and then other times it'll say Sagittarius. So I just kind of thought, well, I guess I just don't know which one I am. So, all right, move along. Okay, so why else might it be hard for people to get along with a type four? Well, number three, feeling misunderstood. Fours often feel misunderstood. Um, Let me just read the statement. Type fours often feel fundamentally different from others. That probably started early on, like when you were a kid. Like, how did I get in this family? Was I adopted? How can these people be my parents? Um, but they feel fundamentally different from others, leading them to sometimes unintentionally create distance in their quest to be understood. Yeah, my daughter, she has downs, right? So she's already a little different, but that's not why she thinks she's different. She's a four. So when we go to the big events where there's people that have downs, like Christmas parties, we live close to Orlando, so we use a lot of the Orlando Down Syndrome Foundation of Florida and all that. When we go to like those big events, she doesn't want to be around other people with downs. Those people are not her people. She's not like them. And it's so strange that like the obvious thing that makes her different is not in her mind at all what makes her different. And even like when we go to a restaurant and sit down as a family, she if she had her way, she would sit at a different table away from us. And it's not because we mistreat her in any way. It's just she's a four. She's a social four. So she's like, I'm not understood by these people. I'm not this is really isn't these really aren't my people. And if there's somebody else there, like if there's a different family that's with us, you can be guaranteed that she's going to connect with them away from her actual people. It's just kind of strange. And that's going to irritate people, right? If you are married and you have a family and there's something within you that just feels like something's missing all the time and these aren't really your people and they don't really understand you, how long until your own family's like, we're done? Like, we don't want to give any more energy to this. Like, we don't have any more bandwidth for all this nonsense. That's what they're going to feel like. And I shouldn't call it nonsense, but that's what's going to feel like to them. Like, why are you wanting to sit at another table? Why are you leaving the family reunion? And I'm sure there's good reasons in your head why you can't be associated with the Johnsons. I can't just be one of these Johnsons, one of these Smiths. They don't know me. These aren't my people. And so you walk away and everybody else is just like, what? You know? It's interesting that like fours can sometimes end up the center of the room that they're not even in. Now, you guys that know fours, um, you know what I'm talking about, right? How is it that they could cause a big dramatic disturbance and get all volatile and then stomp out and slam the door? And now all of Thanksgiving is kind of ruined, quote unquote. And we're all talking about this person who isn't in the room anymore. We're like, what happened? What's going on? I don't know. I think she was upset. What was she upset about? She was talking about Carl. What did Carl do? I don't know, but Carl apparently and the whole room is like talking about what just happened and the person's not even in the room. And look at that. Like from my perspective as a worth and value type, like you got your name on the board. You got your name on the board and you're not even in the room. And suddenly the whole Thanksgiving dinner is about you and your crisis, and everybody's feeling sorry for you and they're feeling sad and they're somebody's going after you. Honey, are you okay? What's going on? What's the problem? And it's like, what if you in that moment as a four could realize, you know what? The people that are here are trying to love me. I know that I feel different than them because I'm a four, and they're trying to connect with me. And that's what I really want. But something within me feels pulled away from this. Like I need to remove myself from them. Like these people don't really know me. They don't really understand me. They don't really accept me for who I am. Oh my gosh, I'm such a four. I'm feeling the stuff fours feel. Why don't I get up off of my bed and go back downstairs where these people are that are trying to love me and let myself connect with them? And really, until you have that awakening moment that your own personality at times is keeping you from accomplishing and having everything you really want, until you have that realization that it's your own impulses and compulsions that make you a fantastic artist. Look, they worked for you in certain areas of your life. They make you a fantastic architect. They make you a fantastic businessman because you are going to color outside the lines and you're going to be true to yourself and you're going to make an incredible impact in art, whatever it is you're into, because you're going to do it your own way. It's going to be unique. You're going to stand out in some way. It can't just be awesome. I got to be awesome in a unique way. But those exact same impulses, if they're not checked, are going to make it very difficult sometimes for people to really connect with you. And you know what you want more than anything else is you want to be loved. You want to be connected. Everybody does. Everybody. But watch this. Look, we have this need for connection while at the same time we all have a need to stand out and have significance. And as a four, you might give more energy to how do I stand out and how am I significant? And then what you find is now that you're standing out and now that you're different, you feel disconnected now from the other people. Well, no surprise. Your focus has been on how you are significant, and how you are significant means how are you different than everybody else? And so this has become like the focus of your energy is how am I different? How am I unique? How am I special? And special is worth and value. If I was just like everybody else, I wouldn't be valuable. I would be a cog in a wheel, replaceable. And I don't want to be a replaceable person who's just going through the motions. I want to live a life with value and meaning and purpose. And all these things are wonderful, but you got to balance significance with connection and belonging in order to truly be happy in life. Okay, I'm revealing my sevenness because I would think that don't we all have the goal of wanting to be happy in life? But okay, so I'm speaking from my own perspective as a seven. Like, don't you want to be happy in life? And realize there has to be balance between being a part of the group and seeing yourself as one of them while at the same time standing out and being unique and different. And we need to give attention to both of these. And what could happen if you're not careful is um you miss something that you really want in life, which is connection. And under stress, what do you look like? A two, which is what? Connection. Under stress, oh crap, I've stood out too far. I've spoken my truth too much. It's damaged relationships. And now under stress, you'll see the four looking like a two. Coming back, is everything okay? Yikes. I slammed the door and stomped out of Thanksgiving. And now I'm trying to, make sure that I can reconnect with all these people that maybe I hurt their feelings, offended them, or spoke my truth and slashed their tires, so to speak. um yeah, force feel broken. Yeah, okay, well, you know what, we're all broken. we are we're all broken. The Enneagram shows us this. Every one of us has a dominant sin. Okay, we're all broken, and we're all living in a broken world. I love what the writer Alice Freiling, who is a four, Alice Freiling wrote a little book years ago called Mirror for the Soul. And it's not one that gets talked about very often, but I thought it was really well done. And this little book, she's a four, and she talks about the brokenness that we all experience. We don't live in the Garden of Eden. And one of the things that she says that I think is just so beautifully said is the Enneagram. She's a Christian lady. She says the Enneagram tells us the same things the Bible tells us, it just uses different words. And I think that is just really a neat way of thinking about the Enneagram. It shows us that we live in a world where stuff doesn't work the way it should. So there's three anger types who get frustrated because why do people get sick? Why don't people put trash bags back in trash cans? Why don't they stop at stop signs? And there's basically three responses to the world is broken, anger types. And then there's three different worth and value types. We've fallen from some position we used to have, and now how do we know that our lives matter, and how do we know our value and worth? It's like we used to have this worth, and now we're struggling for worth. And then the fear types, 5, 6, and 7, are all how do we live in this scary world that we're in? There's lions out here that want to eat us. There's sharks that want to eat us. There's predators out there. How do we survive in this fallen, scary world? And essentially, you have three main problems and three different strategies for trying to deal with those three main problems. And, the Bible tells us the same thing, that we're not in a perfect Eden anymore. We're in a fallen state or a fallen world. And, um, and I think, like I said before, fours just kind of are the most honest. Like the rest of us are trying to patch it up, make it right, and, go on and not be affected. Like think about fives, not be affected by this scary world. Sixes warn everybody and blow the trumpets. But fours have just kind of like it's kind of like they've accepted it. Like, don't you guys realize that things are broken? Don't you guys see it? And there's an honesty in there that I appreciate. Okay, we're gonna do the last one. I've got 10, but I've only got time for I don't know if I can copy and paste them. I'm gonna see if I can copy and paste them all. Um, but we're gonna do the fourth one, which is envy. Okay, I'm gonna try and copy and paste this into the chat. Wow, it's kind of blurry and hard to read, but oh, it's too many words. Okay, well, I won't do that. I'll just read them real quick. I'll just read the one word. All right. So envy is the next one. And envy, is envy is such a gross sin. They're all gross, but envy is so gross because it's like it's comparing yourself with other people and then feeling like you got the short end of the stick. And with some fours, not only is it that general sense of like, I lost, I didn't win, everybody else got something I didn't get. But sometimes it can morph into like that sexual four energy of others need to be brought down. Like this isn't fair, this isn't right. And other people need to see that Mary isn't all that she claimed to be. Look at her just walking in the room with her long hair, oblivious to, and like Mary needs to be taken out. She needs to be taken down. Everybody needs to see that she's not so great. And that's great energy for a villain. And a lot of villains scar, on the Lion King's a four. A lot of villains, it fits really well because it's like I haven't been dealt a fair deal. My brother got the crown, and I got nothing, and he needs to be brought down so everybody can see. Yeah, and envy. It's just, all the sins are awful. What sin is it? You want me to say lust? Oh, lust. That's not bad. I mean, who wants the sin of lust? The only people on the Enneagram that can handle having the sin of lust is eights. Because you tell an eight their sin is lust, and they're like, yeah, that sounds about right. The rest of us would be like, oh gosh, if my sin was lust, please don't tell all these people that my sin is lust. I don't want people to know that. But eights are like, yeah, that sounds about right. Let me have your toothbrush. They just start brushing your teeth. Okay, so envy. All right, so here's the end. Here's the list. And like I said, don't panic. I'm going to make a cartoon video with all these in there. But number 5 is identity seeking, your continuous search for who you truly are. That could bother people. Sorry you can't get through the list because we've made this all about us. Yeah. No, you guys are good. I'm the one that gets distracted. My 7 ADHD stuff. Um, Identity seeking. That's going to be really frustrating to nines, for example, when you're pushing on them. How do you feel about this? What's true for you? What do you think? You must have some opinions about this. And the nine's probably thinking, what do I need to say to make this conversation over? Or Nothing good's going to come from all of that introspective work. It's probably best we just leave this alone. That's why I say nines could be helped by fours. And fours could be very much helped by nines. Like, a nine. Don't sweat the small stuff. A lot of it is small stuff. Okay, number five, identity seeking. Number six, mood fluctuations. Moody. When a one is not doing well, they become more moody. you know, fours, mood fluctuations. And I don't know that it's so much mood fluctuations as it is I'm feeling this mood, so I need to express this mood. I mean, I feel all kinds of moods too, I guess. And I don't always feel like I need to express them. I feel like I need to, clean up on aisle three, get rid of that. But mood fluctuations could seem volatile. That's a good word for fours sometimes. Some fours are very volatile. Number seven, perceived as too intense. Yes, just like eights sometimes. And also just like too deep. Like nobody wants to talk about this. Like, we just want to talk about the game. We just want to talk about Sarah's birthday. Wasn't Sarah's birthday fun? Sarah sure did a great job. Didn't she do a good job in her recital? Yeah, I really loved the part where everybody was singing and then they clapped. And then, that's not intense. That's light conversation. And realize a lot of conversation is just light greasing of the wheels, relationship balancing, connecting with each other, simple stuff. It's not heavy, it's very light. And you got to master that stuff. You can't just go deep always. I mean, you can. You'll probably end up a professor or a psychologist or something, which is great, but realize when that group of people walk away and they're not your friends because everything's too heavy. And you want friends. You want people to connect with you. You want a little friend group of people. And I want you to have that. And sometimes four wing fives, five wing fours, it's like come up to the surface just a little bit. Come up to the surface, breathe the air up here with the rest of us, and just check in a little bit up there at the surface level for some of us. So perceived as too intense. And sometimes with fours, like you sometimes can see them, right? You walk across the college campus and like, okay, this kid is either a seven or a four. They're not a seven. Sevens, they got the rainbow boots on. I don't mean rainbow like gay pride. I just mean like big, proud, lots of colors, and they look ridiculous. Like, okay, that's a seven. But then sometimes you'll see a four that's like so different. Like they're just so different. There's, all these ways they differentiate themselves. And you're not sure, like, am I supposed to say something? Am I supposed to notice it? Like, obviously, you care about this because you spent hours and a lot of thought, probably looked through magazines and all kinds of stuff to figure out what your look was going to be. So obviously, this is really important to you. But am I supposed to call this out? Am I supposed to say, wow, look at you? Wow, you're very different. Huh? What is that tattoo of there? Is that a flamingo with antlers? What's that about? Am I supposed to? Sometimes the rest of us, okay, the rest of us, we might see you being very different and then just not know how to respond to it and then probably respond in a way that's not comfortable for you, like ignoring it. And I think the never ever behavior for fours is never ignore a four. So since I don't know whether to draw attention to this or not because it's so different and so gaudy or so unusual, I might just ignore it and treat you as though nothing's different at all. No, I don't see anything. No, how are you? Nice day, nice weather. Good day, sir. May I help you? And we might just treat you like indifferently because what am I supposed to do? Am I supposed to say, "Hey guys, look at this lady. Get a load of that." So I'm not going to do that. Or then some people might actually do that. And either way, I can imagine it's not necessarily going to get you the results that you hoped it would get you, whatever those results are. I know when I was in high school, I used to wear ridiculous clothes, like David Lee Roth wore ridiculous clothes because I thought, wait till people get a load of this. This is so cool. I'm in dress code, but I'm totally blowing off dress code. Like I'm wearing women's pants, I'm wearing bright yellow shoes, I got my dad's overcoat on. I've got a tie made out of paper. And yeah, I'm in dress code, but I look ridiculous and that's worth something. Like people are going to notice this and it's going to be hilarious. I didn't take it seriously because I'm not a four, I'm a seven. Um, And when people laughed at it, or when people said you're weird, and I imagine a lot of fours get told they're weird, I was always surprised. Like, how is this weird? This is hilarious. It's not weird. How is that weird? Um, but I can see where, the normal people out there, the normies, they're not necessarily going to want to be around this all the time. Okay, so too intense. Idealization of the past, and sometimes the past is so great, so wonderful. Oh, my best friends back there, 10 years ago, years ago, years ago, years ago. And then other times the past was so horrible, so awful, so damaging, so unbelievably terrible. And it's just like, remember, as a seven, I'm looking at the future. It's hard for me to remember the past. Like, I don't live there. I don't. When I think of the past, I get sad every time. Every time. If I think about the past, it's going to make me sad. My kids are growing up. My parents have passed away. I don't live in the house I grew up in. I used to love toys. I used to like to watch GI Joe. I'm too old for that now. And so I feel sad when I think about the past. And so when you come to me with the past, it's like, oh my gosh, please, no more. Fear of being ordinary, number 9. Fear of being ordinary. A lot of the great things in life are just ordinary. Pop music is great. I love classic rock music. I love adult, whatever it is. I love John Denver. I love Jimmy Buffett. I love the Beach Boys and Brian Wilson. I love the Beatles. You know what? So does everybody else. So does everybody else. Does that make me feel like I can't like them because everybody else likes them? No. But I think as fours, sometimes you can back yourself into a corner where you're just like listening to the Misfits. No wonder you're miserable. Like, you can't just listen to that. Yeah, you're the only people that like this stuff. Nobody else has heard of it, but it's not good. So much of what is popular is good. Let yourself embrace it a little bit. Like, don't be afraid. You can be okay. This is where we're ending. We're going to end with this because we're out of time. And I want you to hear this and just let yourself get angry about it. I don't care. Let yourself feel it. I'm being real. So you need to appreciate me because I'm being real. All right. So let me use your own weapons against you. All right. You can, if you're not careful as a four, be so committed to your identity, this identity that you have created or that you feel is really you. You could become so committed to your identity that you can't listen to this music, can't eat this food, can't go to that restaurant. You can be so committed to your identity that you're no longer true to yourself anymore. Yes. I get chills thinking about this stuff because it's life changing stuff. Why do I do this? Because it's life changing stuff. What do I mean by this? Okay, let me tell you about a four. A good friend of mine, a good friend of mine. She's a four wing five. And she said, Tom, when I was in high school, I did the typical four stuff. I dressed all in black. I had black fingernails. I wore, misfit shirts. I wore, chains and leather and dyed my hair purple and nose rings and piercings and tattoos and blah, 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 blah. Right. And she said, everywhere I went, I felt misunderstood. I felt judged. I felt, disconnected. I felt people were looking at me. They were condemning me. They were, all this stuff. Well, okay. All right. Well, why? Because you're not walking around in jeans and a t-shirt. All right. You're walking around standing out and different. And then people treat you like you're different. And she said, one day after like 2 years of this, I looked in the mirror and she said, I just looked at myself and I thought, does this really communicate to the world who I am and what I'm about? She's like, this doesn't really communicate to others who I really am. She's like, I got so committed to this identity that it wasn't even true to me. She said, when I really think about it, what do I love? I love puppies. I love puppy. And I just remember her saying that. I love puppies. And so then she went out, she like took all this stuff, this costume, and she like threw it all away and she went out and got a shirt with puppies on it. She says, that's the real me. I love puppies. I don't, why do I? I'm just saying, as a four, just be careful that you don't paint yourself into corners. So committed to this identity that you've checked things off your list that you can't enjoy anymore, which are there to be enjoyed. There's so much good things in the world to be enjoyed. You can like it even if everybody else likes it. That doesn't mean you can't like it. Even if everybody else does it, doesn't mean you can't do it. It just means it's popular. It's popular for a reason. Okay. So fear of being ordinary. And number 10, expressive aesthetic. Their unique sense of style or aesthetics might be misunderstood as being overly dramatic or attention seeking. Yeah, and so the big clothes or whatever, the big hair or something that, you focus on that stuff, other people might misunderstand it. So there you go. There's 10 things. 10 things that could make other people challenging for getting along with you. And let me just say, fours, when you guys are healthy, you are fantastic, beautiful people. Man, I can't get enough of you. Some of my best conversations I've ever had in coaching have been with healthy fours. I'm just like, wow, this person is just an amazing person. Um, healers going out into the world, bringing healing. Average healthy, unhealthy fours, the victim, the sick person, the one nobody knows their problems. You can't even imagine how hard it must be for me. And just know this: we love you. I love you. We love you. We want to love you. We're trying to understand. I'm not saying I fully understand it all, but look, I'm a seven who gives enough of a crap to read and study and try to understand. So, be patient with us. We'll be patient with you. And let's all have compassion for each other. Thank you guys. Love you all. Be present to life. I'm here for you. And we'll leave it at that. Take care, guys. Bye.